I just remember it aired on TV, and I felt a very special moment. And then afterwards, I checked my phone, and my phone just actually blew up. It was so surreal.
My name is Angelo Mitakos, and I am the fashion editor of British GQ. I'm very lucky to have a superstar panel with me here today to discuss pivoting a luxury brand in a pandemic. We have global brand and creative Coyne from Klarna, founder and designer of Ahluwalia Priya Ahluwalia, stylist and fashion editor Harry Lambert, and founder of Ami Paris Alexandre Mattiussi. So, I'm going to kick things off straight away. The pandemic was undoubtedly disruptive, and what was amazing to watch was how quickly the fashion industry adjusted and adapted. As a new designer, Priya, how do you feel it affected your business, and did you do anything in particular to adapt when it first hit?
Well, when it first hit, I was probably like everyone here, completely petrified, and I was, beside myself thinking it was all going to be over. But I think what I did, which was a positive thing, is I pivoted to make the brand work digitally. So one of the first things I did, I was launching a book called Jalebi, which you can also buy in Soho Home, just letting you know. That we was going to do an exhibition for it, but instead we did a virtual reality one. And that meant that it was able to travel and be viewed like globally instead of just like locally. And then I really got into films. So I did 5 films since the pandemic started, yeah. So, and that was something I might have never done before. And it also means that it democratizes the whole experience, so anyone can watch the film. So, in a way, it was terrible at the beginning, but it allowed me to investigate another side of creativity.
And do you think, had this not happened, video is something that you would have not got into necessarily?
Do you know what? I don't know if I would have got to it yet, because the way I did my first film was because Gucci did a thing called Gucci Fest, where they gave like 15 young designers money to do a film, and I was one of those. So without that first like funding and opportunity to do one, I don't know. I hope I would have got to it, but maybe not just yet.
Okay, right. Alexandre, I'm going to come to you now. Now, in your GQ interview, you said, the pandemic has taught us to live in the moment because everything can collapse in a second. And as a global brand with stores all around the world, what were the first things that you personally put into place to keep up with the constant changes that literally, like you said, happened overnight?
Actually, it was a big surprise, like for all of us, and we actually couldn't make any predictions. It was just like day by day, trying to figure out how to make, the boat still float. My English is not very good, sorry for that, so I'm going to try to make it very clear for everyone. But yeah, it was like the first day, actually, we've been locked down the 17th of March, I think, was the first time, and we all got to leave, the offices. Everybody left it was like a Titanic thing, it was like everybody had to go away very quickly and go back home. So actually I cried when it happened, because we were just like alone with my CEO at the office and trying to think about the future, but we didn't have any idea. And then we started to get a very good communication with the team, because it's like we have 200 people now in the company, so you have to stay in touch with everyone daily, because some of them were super sad and super stressed and super anxious, and so we have to keep a level of communication which was very, very intense. And actually everything was closed, and we were at the moment where we actually started a new collection in the same way, so everything was really, really weird. But yeah.
Would you say it was different, like for instance, how you approached that in like different parts? Because you obviously have different stores and different teams. Was it all the same how you approached that?
Everything was closed the day one, and we didn't have any, we didn't know, so everything was closed. So we had to wait, but hopefully the e-commerce, like the stores online, worked very, very well. So the warehouses could stay open during that time, hopefully for us, because it could help to still, keep the sales going. And yeah, it was very strange, but yeah, I feel like it was actually a great experience.
A big learning curve.
Yeah, we learned a lot from that time.
AJ, I'm going to come to you now. Now, you've heard what Priya and Alexandre did during the pandemic. How did Klarna and keep up with their consumers? Was it business as usual, or were there a couple of tweaks that you had to do?
It was definitely tweaks. I actually joined Klarna on day one of lockdown in March 2000, I guess, last year. And so, as leading the brand, we decided to pause activity just to assess the situation first and foremost, and really try and be a positive contributor. So we doubled down on financial wellness content and supporting our consumers to understand the decisions behind their purchases, and then focused actually with businesses on supporting their digital transformation so that they were ready to, to combat the situations they were being held from the pandemic too.
Wow. Okay. And Harry, I'm now going to come to you. I call them the blue corner because they're both in blue.
Not planned.
Now, it goes without saying, during the pandemic, styling shoots kind of came to a bit of a halt. But celebrities still were making appearances on TV. It was just via Zoom, and everything was kind of via Zoom. What was your approach, and how did that affect and change any of the things that you would normally have done?
We suddenly became very focused up here, and not down there. So I wasn't calling in as many shoes. But yeah, it was weird because I just started working with Emma Corrin, who plays Princess Diana in The Crown, and it was her big breakout role, and she was due to be on the red carpets and a lot of press, and it was going to be a really special time for her. And then it all became digital. So we kind of adapted in a way of presenting what we were doing digitally. So instead of doing red carpets, we were doing COVID-safe photo shoots. But what it meant was, I guess, that we could control even more what we were putting out and make everything feel even more special. And I think everyone kind of rose to that challenge of, I think we realized, in lockdown, celebrity was a big part for help for brands. And yeah, it was challenging, but it was kind of fun to approach something in a very different way like everyone else had to. So we focused on photo shoots, a lot of waist up, and kind of went from there. And that was it, really. It was just kind of adapting how we were working at the time.
Talking of Emma Corrin, your W magazine shoot was absolutely incredible. How did you put that together? Was that kind of over Zoom? How did you approach that?
Well, we were quite lucky because we ended up shooting that kind of at the end. Well, we're still in the midst of it, but in a COVID-safe environment. But I'm very lucky that with Emma, we have a really good relationship, and we're friends first. So it's just about a lot of communication, and shooting the cover of W was a dream come true, and shooting with Tim Walker is something I've been able to do a few times now, and again that's a dream come true. So it's kind of a bit of a pinch me moment.
Yeah,
kind of
surreal
thing.
Almost.
Yeah, so it kind of felt really special to do something like that with Emma, who didn't get maybe the journey, the press journey that she was expecting, but we're still very blessed.
Of course. So I think something that is amazing is how we've all adjusted and really shown resilience actually over the past kind of 2 years. And despite all the uncertainty, something that I find really amazing is we've all grown. Priya, I want to come to you quickly. So during the pandemic, you had billboards put up all over London, and to some people that might almost seem redundant because it was lockdown. But the only thing we could do was walk or run. It was a huge success. I know that I saw it all over my Instagram, people taking pictures with it. It was a real moment, and they were so colourful, and it really brightened everyone's day. I was living in Peckham at the time, and I saw it under the bridge. It was really major. Did you see an increase or interest in sales with your brand because of that?
Yeah, do you know what? I was really fortunate. A company called Build Hollywood offered me this free billboard space, and it was meant to be London, and it ended up all over the UK. It was in Cardiff, Scotland. It was crazy, and I think for me, what was really good about it is that in a time where we couldn't build community because we can't go outside, I couldn't host events, I couldn't do shows. It was a really nice way of getting people engaged with the brand and talking about it, and people were really excited to share pictures about it. And I think that actually it really did drive awareness, and I just launched a new website with like my first e-com shop, and it really did. I saw a huge difference. So it was a weird time. I mean, I was a bit worried when they were going up that no one would see them, but you're totally right. Like everyone was actually, you know, walking and looking around.
Massively.
So, yeah.
And Alexandre, I understand that Ami had a record-breaking year in 2021. And you touch a few things that you put in place earlier. But another interesting aspect or question is how you manage to keep up with that increased demand despite all of the production hurdles. How did you do that?
It's a kind of miracle, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because again, when everything really started, really we didn't expect to make it happen, in a way, because we thought people would not be able to buy things and to get the clothes. Even on the website, it was at the beginning, we didn't know if it's gonna just, happen. And the demand was like increasing like week after week. And it was a big surprise, to be honest, and was not expected that came as much as it came. And regarding the factories for the production and everything, everybody was locked down as well. So I don't even know how we made it, but we could deliver. We did actually digital showrooms. It was the first time as well because anybody was able to travel. So we present the collection on website and with pictures we've done with a small team on the showroom, and people order the collection. And so we were a little bit late, to be honest, on the production. We were late on several aspects of the collection and production. Even the shows, we delayed them a little bit. We were not into the fashion weeks momentums. We were a little bit later. So it has been a really new way to make things, and actually I kind of liked it. And I'm actually anxious to go back to physical shows on January because it's starting again. I think we find a kind of nice way to present the collection through a digital point of view because we have more time to make it. You can correct things, even in a communication and fashion way. It's much more interesting to work that way, I feel like. But now back on the fashion shows on January, and I'm kind of excited.
And AJ, have Klarna done anything with technology to kind of update everything?
So we've got over 100 million consumers now globally, and so we tend to listen to them when it comes to innovating. And I think one of the things that we heard during the pandemic was that our services were such an important tool for them to be able to manage their work, their spend. And so we launched a product that allowed them to use Klarna anywhere, so on any website via our app, and that proved phenomenally popular. And equally, some recent acquisitions with a company called Hero, looking to try and support really traditional stores, allowing you to actually speak to a designer or a member of staff and actually look at the products, because the digital experience needs to come to life in certain ways, and actually allowing consumers to speak to a human being that is at a store that's no longer open, but they have access to stock and can be inspired, was super important for us as well.
So Harry, I'm going to come to you again. Now, you've heard how these three kind of carried on during the pandemic. Now, with you said in your interview that if you do 3 red carpet looks, you at least try and use one up-and-coming designer.
Yep.
And through that, you've helped the growth of young queer designers such as S.S. Daly and Harris Reed. Is this something that's still really important to you in your work and something that you'll continue to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky that I work with some amazing talent, and I think what I've realized, coming from an editorial background and working more with celebrity, actually how important celebrity is for brands and how they can push sales, but also bring awareness to brands. So, like with Harry, I work with Harry Styles, and one of our plans and our dreams is always to showcase young talent, because I think when you have such an amazing platform like that, you work with lots of amazing big brands that will give clothes for free and dress people for free, and that's amazing. But I think we should use that platform to showcase up and coming and emerging designers as well. So, I think celebrity can help just speed along a brand almost, and increase sales, increase awareness. And so, yeah, we try and always support these young designers. I think it's important to put money, we get budgets from movies or music and stuff to dress the talent, and I think that money is sometimes wasted on big brands. That money should be invested into young designers. So that's always been our motto, and hopefully that's what we're going to carry on doing.
Yeah, and talking of speeding sales and increased popularity, can we quickly talk about the feather boa that Harry Styles wore?
Yes.
Like, it was literally amazing.
Yeah, that was quite a surreal moment because, it was for the Grammys, and we wanted to do something really fun. And I just remember it aired on TV, and I felt a very special moment. And then afterwards, I checked my phone, and my phone just actually blew up. It was so surreal with like messages and seeing the pictures from the performance. And then like a few weeks later, it was like the sales of feather boas had increased like
thousands.
I don't know where these feather boas are being worn, but it was just like, okay. But even that, just like, Harry started wearing like a pearl necklace, and a lot of other people wear as well, like A$AP Rocky and Pharrell, and Harry was wearing some as well. And it was just very interesting to then find out that like later that year that the sales of pearl necklaces had gone up a lot, and it just shows the power of celebrity has. And that's why I think, like I said again, working with young designers is really important, because that love should be spread to them as well. I think it's good. But I don't know where all these feather boas are going out.
Okay, so we've actually got... I've got the time, but I've got one last question for you all. Yeah, it's flashing in the corner of my eye, but I'm going to ignore it. In a society where there's more visibility on how brands and companies champion diversity, inclusion, and the environment, what ways can businesses continue to push this conversation and make things better in the fashion industry and beyond? Now, that's quite a big question, and we're limited on time, but has anyone...
I'll go. I'm a brand, I'm Indian, Nigerian, and I'm a woman, and I own a business, and so my team by nature is an inclusive and diverse place. I think people that are applying for jobs are attracted to my brand because of the type of work I put out and what I stand for. But I sometimes think that really the onus should be on huge corporations, and I get asked a lot about like my contribution to the industry in terms of inclusion and sustainability, and it's like I'm always going to work as hard as I can to be as positive as I can, but I think it kind of takes away from the fact that the onus should be on multi-million-pound corporations that have a huge impact on the planet. So I think that my role, apart from what I do in my own brand, is always to keep reminding people of that question, because I think that we need to keep the pressure on to make sure that these huge businesses are being accountable. And they're the ones that can make a huge difference. If they make one policy change, it creates such a big flood of change. So I did a collaboration with Mulberry, and I read their D&I policy, which is diversity and inclusion, and it had nothing about hair discrimination, which happens to Afro-Caribbean people all the time. And so one of the sort of, I guess, rules? No, I can't think of a word because I'm under pressure. One of the like
it's that flashing light.
Things I know. One of the like things I said to work with each other, I was like, I wanted that to be updated. So through our collaboration, it was a bad collaboration, but I asked them to change their diversity and inclusion policy to say that they won't discriminate against Afro-Caribbean hairstyles, and so that was a way that I could affect like real change in a way that's measurable and will make an effect. So I guess for me, I'm just going to keep putting the pressure on the big businesses.
Good. Great.
That was a bit long, sorry.
Yeah, no.
That flashing light.
Yeah, it's a flashing light. I think we had such a great conversation. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.